Yeah, it's not fun.
Welcome, everybody. NBA Strategy Show, last of the week, Friday, January 3rd. We are presented by Yahoo Sports. It's the only place you can become a baller. That should matter more to you than just about anything we say over the next 90
Yep.
minutes. I am Josh Engelman. I am joined by Dave Loughran. We are going to break down a 6-game slate. I don't know what else to say here. Pricing has become ridiculous.
Egregious.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. Laffy, how's it going? How's your Thursday?
Not bad, man. I mean, it's insane because when you compare it to yesterday, DraftKings had like the sharpest pricing of the season, and everybody on FanDuel, you could have played DFS for like 5 days in your life and still put together a spectacular cash lineup on FanDuel. That's how bad the pricing was. Today, DraftKings has decided to price everyone through the floor. So I don't get what's happening at all.
Now it's really, really, really weird. And I don't know how to manage it. But that's what the point of this show is, for us to manage it and let you guys know what we should be doing. We got a jam-packed schedule today too, so get ready for it.
Yeah,
everybody.
it's also nice that you take a more FanDuel specific approach here for the early show, and I focus a little bit more on DraftKings. So that
Try to
makes
give
it
the
a
people
bit
what they
easier.
want.
That's right.
Trying to balance as much as we possibly can.
That's what you got to do.
Let's get into last night a little bit. Couldn't have went much worse for me. My most exposed player on the slate was Paul George.
Oh,
Yeah.
the injury, hammy.
So that's back-to-back days where one of my 3 most exposed players, and I take pretty big stands, so we're talking in the 60s, 70s, 80s of percentage. I lost John Isaac 2 days ago immediately, and now Paul George at the half for this one. Did not help. Took an absolute beating. I've got the $15 fadeaway from DraftKings up last night. As if he needed the money. Utica, $100,000 to the good. Familiar name at the top. I do want to point out Weston Selman finished 4th, friend of the program, also most subscriber. So congrats on the 4th place finish there. Utica placed 99 of 150 lineups in the money. Can only imagine he did not have Paul George.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Where's Paul George hiding? Yeah, because now I just want to know. Paul George. Oh, he's only 9.7% owned. 8.7% for Utica. So.
Well, what was Kawhi? Because Kawhi wasn't that much more expensive than him.
Kawhi Leonard was 10% owned. Utica had 3%. That'll also help.
Interesting.
87% Luka Doncic. That won't hurt. Won't hurt. Highest scorer of the slate. He was also, Utica had 41% De'Aaron Fox, who was the second highest scorer, 8.2x. He was 14% owned. That right there is going to get it done.
I mean, dude, you should have seen the comments in the YouTube chat on the deep dive. The different factions of, you have to play Luka, or if you play Luka, you're an idiot. And there was amazingly a lot of, if you play Luka Doncic, you're an idiot takes, which just baffle me. I get it. Value wasn't particularly strong yesterday. But I mean, my God, you're talking about a top 3 fantasy producer in the league alongside James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Like, no question, he is one of the best in the league. And then Porzingis is out. I just simply don't see the connection between not wanting to play Luka Doncic. Now, look, did he have one of the best Doncic games ever? No, but because of this slate, you didn't need a 90 fantasy point, 80 fantasy point Luka Doncic game. You just didn't.
No.
And he gave you, what did he give you? Like 58 or 60?
61, I believe.
61?
Yeah.
That was more than enough to get it done. On FanDuel, if you didn't play Doncic, you were insane. On DraftKings, definitely understand why it may have been a little bit more difficult to sell yourself on that. But I mean,
he was in the winning lineup.
Yeah, but it was also one of those slates where like you weren't getting great pivots either. Nobody was priced all that great to where Doncic was an easy fade.
Winning lineup for Utica: Shabazz Napier, Jeremy Lamb for 45, Bobby Covington, B. Jelly, Miles Turner, Luka Doncic, JaMychal Green, De'Aaron Fox. I was not going to land on that.
Green, wow.
I was not going to land on that one.
I wasn't going to land on JaMychal Green, no.
No, not so much. I mean, Jeremy Lamb either against Denver at 5,200.
Yeah,
that's a tough sell too.
That's a very tough sell.
3.2% ownership, went for 45 fantasy points. I understand that Malcolm Brogdon was out. Still.
It's crazy.
Yeah, very.
But here we are.
Here we are indeed. Highest owned player for the 150 maxers. Who'd we get here? I assume it was Napier. The answer is Luka Doncic, 39.3%. Shabazz Napier, 37%. Jarrett Culver, 33%. Jalen Brunson stuck up there at 26%.
Yeah, I mean, I personally despised Brunson yesterday, assuming he was going to be in the starting lineup. So obviously no victory laps taken here. He didn't start. It was JJ Barea. But,
I had a lot of Brunson. And
I just had no interest in playing him if he was getting all his minutes alongside Doncic, which he did last game.
I just didn't care because of the price. I was willing to just hitch my wagon there, but I fell asleep on the couch and woke up at 8:35 to a message from Adam being like, I think I might have screwed up my late swap, or I almost screwed up my late swap. I was like, I just woke up and didn't late swap. So none of this matters. I'm dead in the water.
10 minutes.
Yeah. Woke up at 8:35, so didn't matter.
Only person that came off the bench after him was Josh Reeves.
Who?
Josh Reeves.
I don't know who that is.
He played 1 minute.
I have no idea who that is.
Neither does he.
I've never heard that name before in my entire life.
Neither have I.
You could be making it up as far as I'm concerned.
I'm not making it up. It is real. He played 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Good for him. That's 1 minute and 20 whatever seconds more than I've ever played in the NBA, so I guess I should shut up.
That's one hell of a way to look at it.
I guess, yeah. All right, guys. You want to become a baller? I have good news for you. You can check out Emacs Cash Building Blocks article, which is for today. Your old pal got this one out early. So I just dropped the link into chat right now. I actually think that it got dropped in there a half second before I pasted it. Could have saved myself the paste. But check out the article. Check out what EMAC has to say about today's Friday slate, the old 6-gamer. And then click the link at the bottom of the article. Sign up using the promo code AWESOMO. Get yourself $30 in YSRPs, Yahoo Sports Rewards points. The only place you can become a baller, as we told you. That is bullet number 1. Then we take like a big drop down to bullet number 3 with lower management fees, CSV entries, and softer competition. But really, what we're trying to do is become a baller. You should get.
We got to get shirts made.
They should give out shirts for everybody that wins the baller contest.
Absolutely. I mean, no, just that, but like also let me get a free.
Well, yeah. So they should they should have colors. So like, you get a white one if you want that, but you get like the green jacket style of baller if you win it like 5 times or something in your career.
I could get down with that for sure. And I would definitely wear I don't know where the word rank came from.
I don't know either.
That's interesting. But I would definitely wear a become a baller shirt, or just like a huge baller with the Y and the exclamation
I
point.
became a baller.
Yes. That's a good one. Yeah.
I like it. Yahoo, if you're hiring in the marketing department.
Yeah, we need shirts.
We're on this.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. I expect these soon enough. But seriously, read the article, Cash Building Blocks, from your old pal, and sign up at Yahoo. And then, when you're done signing up at Yahoo, you're going to need some additional help, some additional advice. What you can do is sign up at awesemo.com, awesemo.com/join. We've got 2 promos going on for the beginning of the year. you can use the promo code 2020. You can spend $20 for 20 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That gives you access to everything we have to offer. That'll let you get your feet wet if you've never been with us before. If you have been with us before, or if you're really ready to just dive in and get everything, this is the best deal we've run in a long time. Use the promo code NEWYEAR. Get 20% off your first year of the Awesemo Plus Platinum package. That's $200 off. That is a massive discount in comparison to where we're normally at. Similar terms, you're going to get access to everything that we offer, but you will have it for a calendar year. It's a fantastic promotion. We don't offer big-time discounts on our annual packages all that often. So if you're looking to get into it, either this package or the 2020 package, $20 for 20 days. These are both valid for one more week. This is done on January 10th. So if you want to get into it, highly recommend you do that now.
One might say this is significant.
Two might say that. Both of
That's
us
right.
would say that it's significant.
I believe it is.
What else is significant is we've got a 6-gamer, 3 games kicking off at 7 o'clock tonight, and then we've got the slow trickle. Your Philadelphia 76ers got a day with the Houston Rockets. That should be a fun one. Lakers, Pels,
suck.
That should be a fun one. The Rockets do or the Sixers do?
No, the Sixers suck.
Just checking.
You see Embiid called out Ben Simmons kind of like on the low.
I did not.
They asked him what needed to be done. Like, they're losing. Why is the offense struggling? Excuse me. And he goes, well, we have to do things that might be out of our comfort zone. And if that means shooting, then we got to do that. Whatever makes the team better. We got to do things that we might not feel comfortable with if it's for the betterment of the team. And you know what? Well said. Well done, Joel Embiid. I'm with you 100%.
He's not wrong.
Brett Brown is the worst coach in the world. Oh, it's going to piss people off. He sucks, though. He sucks, dude.
Is it Brett Brown?
He plays a large role, yeah. No question. First of all,
is it Brett Brown's fault that Ben Simmons won't shoot?
Yes. Absolutely.
That seems like a bit of a reach.
Why?
It seems pretty much like it's Ben Simmons' fault and Ben Simmons' fault only. You think that Brett Brown is like, yo, man, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, well, obviously.
What's he gonna do? Sit him?
No, tell him shoot the fucking ball.
I have a sneaky suspicion that he's had that conversation before.
Well, he's not doing a good enough job of it. I have a feeling that if Greg Popovich was the coach, if Mike Budenholzer was the coach, and Brett Brown wasn't shooting, something might happen. He's had him since the beginning.
One of those guys I agree with. I don't agree on Bud.
Do you not think, well, Budenholzer was like the mini Popovich. Do you not think...
That was Brett Brown.
No.
Same coaching tree.
He was licking the bottom of Popovich's shoes. Do you not think that you've had this kid for like Brett Brown's known him before the Sixers?
I know.
Right?
Yes.
Do you not think that? Yes. Do you not think that like some blame should be shared in the lack of development as a shooter, having him all these years to groom?
I mean, is it lack of development? The dude's just not shooting. It's not like he's shooting poorly and hasn't gotten better. How do you develop someone that won't do something?
By making them shoot.
I don't think you can. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. Bench his ass.
I mean, then you're benching, a part of the number 5 defense in the league.
Yep. But the defense has sucked recently. And the offense has stalled out because they're terrible in the half court. I mean, look, here's the thing. You also can't get down to the final possession of games, and this has happened many times, even this year, several times in the past few weeks, and have 0 timeouts left on your final possession. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. Ben Simmons defensively is a brilliant player. I mean, he gets steals on the inbound on a play. He's done it several times where the team needs to inbound the ball to stay in the leader to win the game. And he grabs a steal every time. And then he has to push it ahead to Embiid so he can take a half-court shot because Brown doesn't have any timeouts left. He's got to go.
For the record, I am not advocating for Brett Brown. I am advocating for the fact that there's nothing that he can do to stop Ben Simmons.
Okay, well
shooting.
let me pose this to you. I know we got to get started, but let me pose this to you.
We got time. Oh, there is an NFL show after this. Shit, I thought we had free reign.
We're fine. We're fine. We
got 6 games.
Thank you, Black Madden. I agree with you that you agree with me. Here's the thing. Like, forget about Brown's shooting, or forget about Simmons shooting. If you're not going to get the best from your players, like maybe Brown isn't completely cancerous to this team, but he certainly isn't helping them either. Like, you're not seeing him aid the development of this team. They're not improving. They're not getting better. Sure, there's still a lot of games to go, but there's no reason you should be 6th in the East with that roster. You could make the argument that Al Horford does not fit. I would agree with you there. There's many arguments that you could make that to some extent absolve Brett Brown, but you can't look at him and say, you know what, he has done an excellent job. And I'd venture to say, I'll leave it at this, Josh. I'd venture to say that if Brown was not coaching this team through the years of them having the worst NBA roster ever constructed, that he wouldn't be there now. I think he's been given a very long leash because of suffering through a terrible, terrible team.
All that said, they are 23-13. They have the 7th best net rating, and they have the 3rd best net rating in the East.
Exactly. That's terrible. Right?
No.
What? Right?
No. They should have.
No. You talk about.
They're a spot. You should have expected what? 2nd?
No. That's not what I'm saying. When you have those net ratings and you're 23-13, it's unacceptable.
Agree to disagree, I guess.
Bro, they're like 7-10 on the road. If you can look at that and justify it, you're nuts.
I mean, I would never look at a damn road record in my entire life.
Why?
Why do I care how they play on the road?
What are you talking about? They're terrible on the road. Why does that not matter?
Because then they're just equally just as good at home.
Right. But this shouldn't be a give and take. Like, you can't be a legitimate bad team on the road and very good at home. How is that acceptable?
Because neither of those two things are true.
What's not true?
They're just what they are. They're not bad on the road. They've played what? 12, 13 road games, 14 road games? We're going to read into that kind of sample?
Yeah.
They played 36 games this entire season. How many of them could have possibly been road games? 20 at best?
They are 7-11 on the road.
Here we go. Let me look it up. Oh, here I got the away record here. They are 7-11,
16-2 at home,
negative 2.5 net rating.
They are 4-6 over their last 10 games. Atrocious.
You're hilarious. This is hilarious. I love it. This is some talk radio stuff.
I tell you,
Philadelphia 76ers, 11.6 point differential at home, 16-2. They get no credit for being dominant at home.
Yeah. Well, like Ben Simmons said, they're afraid to lose in front of the home crowd.
Well, good. Just keep playing damn home games.
Yeah, that doesn't work in the playoffs.
I'm sure they're really nervous about the Milwaukee home crowd.
It's not they are going to finish the season below 500 on the road.
Ooh, I feel we should talk about that.
Let's do a bet. And I'll give you the bet. I will give you the bet. Okay. You have to, you know where I'm going with this because you said you wouldn't do it.
I know where this is going.
You have to go just a mustache. And I'll do the same. Whoever loses, you have to go for an entire week on shows with nothing but a mustache. All this goes, keep the mustache.
Philly below 500.
I mean, this bet should favor you. If you believe they're that good, this should be a lock for you.
I don't know about a lock, man. There's they're already you're 4 games to the good.
Oh, so now you're changing up your tune, I see.
Let me think about it.
No. Virtual shake. Let's book this right now.
Do they play a road game? Are they on the road today? They are.
Yes.
Shit.
How about this?
Great against the Rockets. They're going to lose
How
anyway.
about this?
I'm going to be 5 games down.
2 days with nothing but a mustache.
It's not
2 days,
well,
not a full week.
I don't. Once it happens, it happens. I could care. It doesn't. The amount of time that it has to happen is irrelevant.
You're the type of guy that I've always I've known for the past few years, couple of years. You're generally not very bashful about things. Like you can handle stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't care about that.
But this mustache thing has really gotten to you. You have an issue with this. It's interesting.
I have an issue. The only issue that I have is entering into a wager that I don't think I'm likely to win.
Oh, well, you just said there's no reason they should be worse on the road.
They're going to be 7-12 on the road after this, and I got to make up
You just
5 games.
Oh, you're giving them a loss already. It sounds like you've been very, very optimistic about the Sixers. What happened?
Yes, I'm giving them a loss when they're 4.5-point underdogs in Houston.
All right, I'll give you an even better bet. From here on out, they have to go above 500 for you to win.
Okay,
that's a very fair bet.
I'm in for that.
Above 500.
Okay, so 500 I lose.
Yes.
Deal. I'm in.
Virtual shake. All right, it's booked. There it is. Mustache is coming, baby.
Whew, gonna be an interesting start to the baseball season.
My wife's gonna hate me if I lose this.
My wife already hates me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there is no reconciling that.
Hide your kids, everybody. Hide your kids.
I'm not going out of the house if I lose this bet.
I already don't.
That's fair.
To be it makes me a little nervous. I live like less than a mile as the crow flies from an elementary school. Yeah. Okay. So, mark the date.
Chat needs
January
to hold us
3rd.
Yep. Chat needs to hold us accountable.
Yeah. It's January 3rd. Sixers record from this point forward. I'm going to be 0-1 after tonight. I've just become the biggest Sixers stan going this year.
I love that I just got you into becoming a Sixers fan. It's worth it.
Now I got to cheer for the third best offensive center in basketball.
Well, there you have it.
How great is it going to be when Ben Simmons just for some reason starting today starts taking 8 threes a game?
Dude, I would love that. I would love to lose this bet. See, that's the thing. It's kind of a win-win for me, right? I think if there was ever a day to bet on Ben Simmons attempting a 3 and getting those great odds on it, would be today.
It really is a win-win for you because you obviously want them to win games on the road. You are willing to pay having a mustache for the Sixers to be above 500 on the road moving forward.
And I'll even do you one better. I'll grow this out like a week before the season's over.
Okay.
I'll grow this out so when I do shave it, it's a lot more identifiable.
Okay. Here we go. Well, that'll be what? Mid-April? Somewhere in April?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So basically or I guess baseball season will have already started.
When's the end of the regular season? Sixers. I hope they finish with a road game too. All right. So if they're the top team, they're on the road. So final game of the season is April 15th. Final road game of the season, April 13th at the Grizzlies. They close. All right. That'll work. They close with 3 road games.
Dude, if it
comes down to the Spurs, at the Pelicans, at the Grizzlies, all 3 of those teams will not be in playoff contention at that point.
If it comes down to that, it's going to be insane. And you're right. The final stretch is heavily in your favor.
Yeah. Wizards, Spurs, Pelicans, Grizzlies are the final 4 road games.
Wow.
Hold on. Bulls, Wizards. What's before that? Timberwolves, Hornets.
They could sweep.
They might not lose a road game.
They could
Warriors.
Sweep. They could sweep.
I don't think they play a road playoff team. Okay, so they play the Clippers on March 1st. They play the Lakers on March 3rd. Then, to close out the season on the road, Kings out of the playoffs. Warriors out of the playoffs. Hornets out of the playoffs. Wolves out of the playoffs. Bulls out of the playoffs. Wizards obviously out of the playoffs. Spurs, Pelicans, Grizzlies. They might be favored in every one of those games. Love it. I love it.
They should be.
I'll tell you what, if they don't finish above 500 after reading that shit off,
Oh yeah, you'll deserve the stash.
Whew, I will indeed. But we don't have time for this any longer. It's 10 o'clock. We've got an hour, 6 games. You ready to start this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward
The
to
Boston.
this bet.
I am not. Well, I am now that I've seen their road schedule.
Yeah, you should be good, honestly.
Okay. The Boston Celtics hosting the Atlanta Hawks, 12-point favorites for Boston. I actually did something in this one that I don't normally do. Gotta move my screen back over here. Go. Kemba Walker is questionable with an illness. There was a tweet from like late last night. I can't remember who had the tweet. Someone where it matters. I guess Kemba had like 103 fever. I actually took Kemba out for tonight. At home, the Hawks coming to town. There's just no reason to like run him out there if he doesn't feel good. They've got plenty of ball handlers and creators for this team. So I actually took Kemba out. Just want to put that caveat out there. I'm projecting Kemba to not play. And if that's the case, there's not a lot of ownership coming into Tatum and Brown and Hayward and Smart, but oh boy, do I want a lot of Tatum and Brown and Hayward and Smart. And even, I think Daniel Tice getting a little bit of love. 4,400 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DK. Willing to go that direction as well. How do you want to manage the Celts tonight?
I have a slightly more nuanced take when it comes to DraftKings. And I can't wait for you to get irrationally blasted on Twitter when Kemba Walker does play.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Just ridiculous.
Gonna happen.
Anyway, I am not big on Tatum on DraftKings. And it's a very simple reason for this. Now, Kemba Walker assuming he's out, that could change my mind a little bit, sure. But I do want to keep in mind that like Gordon Hayward's $1,200 less expensive than Tatum at the same position.
Yeah.
I would honestly rather just play Gordon Hayward. He's played 35 minutes in back-to-back games, so the playing time is there. Jaylen Brown is expected to play in this one. He's $500 cheaper. I know that Tatum has had, a few good games mixed in over the past 10 or whatever, but let's also keep in mind that his floor really isn't any higher than Brown or Gordon Hayward. So I like Boston here, no question, but I prefer the discount on, $1,200 discount on Hayward just seems a lot more inviting to me. I would say in this specific matchup, Gordon Hayward's underpriced, Tatum's a little bit overpriced.
I'm with you. Tatum is the guy that I like from the Celtics the least. That is not an indictment on him. I still think he looks good because it's the Hawks. But he would be the guy that I would take last out of all of the available Celtics. Marcus Smart is my number 4 player overall. If he gets the start at point guard, 5,100 on both sites. I agree. I think Gordon Hayward is probably the second best option. Jaylen Brown just slightly ahead of Jason Tatum. I have the tweet here from Jared Weiss at 1:15 p.m. yesterday. Kemba Walker has 103-degree fever and flu-like symptoms. Status uncertain for tomorrow and Trae Young's return.
Why can't we ever just say they have the flu?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Maybe you didn't know. Okay, you don't want to misreport it.
We can say they had a very defined case of gastroenteritis, but we can't say they had the flu. I don't know. Strange.
I don't know.
But Daniel Tice. It's been difficult to get a good grasp on the minute situation between him and Enes Kanter, but Enes Kanter is also ridiculously expensive when Daniel Tice is almost $2,000 cheaper on DraftKings. Now, Kanter is just a much better fantasy producer. Like he's well above a fantasy point per minute. As a matter of fact, I think on DraftKings this season, I think Kanter's like a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy.
He's at 1.37 on FanDuel over the last 30 days.
Yeah, very impressive. 1.3 on the season on DraftKings, if you're including the bonuses. But I think, what are you laughing at?
Z Rich in YouTube chat says, every time I hear a player has flu-like symptoms, it makes me think they have AIDS.
Oh, God.
Sorry. That one got me.
I mean, yeah, I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Tice is fine here. He's not a priority for me, but I do like him. I'd say on DraftKings specifically, Hayward is my favorite option because of that price.
Okay, I would go to
Even
Smart.
if Kemba, by the way, even if Kemba plays, I think that price on Hayward is still totally reasonable.
So do I. Yeah, I really like the Celtics. The Hawks are terrible defensively. Absolutely terrible. Trae Young being back makes them worse on defense, not better.
Correct. I agree. And significant. Trae Young coming back makes the matchup 100 times better for opponents because there's the lower likelihood that they get blown out. Now, they're still 12-point dogs. I get that. But if there's no Trae Young, it's like 20 points. It's a lot. It's probably 16. But in the event that he is in, it makes the defense worse and the offense better. Same thing with Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns being in the lineup for Minnesota makes them a much better matchup because you have Gorgie Jang off the floor and you have a more competitive game with better offense and way worse defense.
Did you know that the Celtics have the number 1 defense in the league?
I didn't like defensive rating. I didn't, but I'm not at all surprised by that.
So crazy. I mean, like, I'm surprised by it because it's not like they have classic defensive personnel. They're running out Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter and stuff at center.
And Horford's gone.
Right. Which you would have thought was like an anchoring force, but
Marcus Smart's a dog though, man. Like you watch this guy play.
He is.
Here's
a question for you. Would you rather have Marcus Smart or Trae Young?
I would still rather have Trae Young.
Okay.
But it depends. Like it depends on what you're building around him. If you have a guy like Trae Young and you build, good defense around him, I think, it's a lot easier. But if you have a cast of rejects and, poor defensive play throughout the whole starting lineup, it just accentuates how bad it is.
That's a tricky one because they're basically like the opposite players. Full on, completely different. And obviously, I'm not saying like, number 1 option on both sides is either Trae Young or Marcus Smart, but like in their roles. Be interesting. Trae Young about to start for the All-Star game. Yeah,
he should get this snot. To get this snot out of my nose. I didn't know so much snot could actually be manufactured inside one head over the past week.
That's gross. Have you seen the All-Star voting so far? If anybody ever quotes All-Star voting, you should never be able to talk about basketball again.
Taco Fall, last I looked, had more votes than Bam Adebayo.
There we go. If you ever talk about All-Star voting, you clearly know nothing about basketball.
Yep.
Derrick Rose is 4th in guards.
Incredible. It's a popularity contest. It doesn't mean shit.
It is asinine. Yeah, Taco Fall 6th in the East in front court, ahead of Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
So can we not talk like any of that shit matters?
Why? Did someone say something about it?
Trae Young about to start for the All-Star game.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, lucky him, man. Leading that team to victory.
Doesn't mean a thing.
Unbelievable. Please don't cite All-Star appearances. Let me know when Trae Young makes an All-NBA team. I'm going to assume that it'll be right around fucking never. Anyway, Trae Young is 8,800 on FanDuel, and you should play him if he's 4% owned. He's 9,200 on DK. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult sell for him, considering he's going to be going up against the number 1 defensive rating team in the league. But 8,800 for Trae Young on FanDuel is just simply way too cheap.
Yes. Well, 92 on DraftKings is still pretty friendly as well.
Certainly is.
And you consider that 2 games ago he was 11,200. He's down $2,000 in 2 games.
That's nuts.
I know.
All for
that's what I'm saying.
Ankle.
The DraftKings pricing makes no sense. Look, it's not a good matchup. I'm well aware it's not a good matchup, but when you're that cheap and you are, one of the higher usage players in the entire league, and you have one of the higher assist rates in the league, when you're 35% assist rate or usage rate and 43% assist rate, that, can mitigate a lot of those concerns.
I think you muted yourself.
No, I didn't.
Now I hear you.
That's weird.
You sound weird in my AirPods, so it's probably just my AirPods.
I think we're good.
Now you're like buzzing.
Huh.
Now you sound way worse.
Really?
Now you're good.
Okay.
It's the AirPods.
Right.
Let me reset these things. Let's go with it.
Let's go.
Okay.
I have nothing else from Atlanta, by the way.
Okay. I think you could talk me into $4,300 Alex Len if he's completely unowned. His minutes are finally not terrible. 24 in the last game, 20 in the game before that. He missed the game on the 27th, left early in the 23rd, but played 26 minutes in the game previous to that. I've got him in for 21 minutes. Just given where value is right now, I don't think it's outlandish if he really is 2% owned.
It's not. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
He's not a guy I'm playing in cash. Of course not, right? But look, Alex Len is the type of guy that whenever he's chalk, he is bound to disappoint. It's just the way it is. It feels like every coach he's ever had doesn't want to play him. But yeah, if he has upside for like 25, 26 minutes, and we've seen that to be the case recently, right? He played 25 like 6 games ago, 26, then 24. He's got a 6 mixed in there, a 20. So a couple of games where, the minutes are concerning, but if he does get those 24, 25 minutes, Alex Len should not disappoint at that price.
Do you have any interest in John Collins? I know you said, or DeAndre Hunter. I know you mentioned you were done with the Hawks. Both of these guys are projected for 16% ownership, so I just want to point them out.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't think you're going to need it on this slate, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah, and John Collins, look, he's a good player. He's a near instant double-double, but we'll get to guys like Julius Randle and a few others shortly, and that's one of the reasons why Collins doesn't really stand out to me against Boston.
I agree. He's my number 51 overall player on DraftKings.
That'll tell you all you need to know.
Yep. Orlando Magic, Miami Heat. Heat are 2-point favorites in Orlando. Orlando just walking wounded now. We could see Aaron Gordon back. I projected him in, but John Isaac looking like he's going to miss the next 2 months, which is a real shame. He's been having a hell of a overall season.
Is. And it really affects their defense. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, he is a legit defensive player of the year candidate.
Yes, he's been that good this season. And I don't think we can understate or I don't think we can even overstate how influential he's been for this team actually playing really solid defense this season. So yeah, Jonathan Isaac being out, it's a significant development. And I think it does help guys like Aaron Gordon though. And the one dude probably starts. Terrence Ross probably gets additional minutes off the bench. But yeah, it's definitely not going to help them at all.
Yeah. So if Aaron Gordon ends up out, there's going to be some value that opens up for Orlando by default. They're just going to have too many minutes, whether that's Kem Birch getting a bunch of run or Emile Jefferson getting enough run. Something will open up. As of right now, I have Gordon in. We're projecting Vooch, Fournier, Fultz, and Ross in double digits in ownership on both sites. This is very clearly just the same projections, is it not? Kendrick Nunn, Yep. One of these aren't right. Give me 1 second. I pasted the ownership in incorrectly. For at least one. I don't know which one, though. Kendrick Nunn, 26 on DraftKings. Okay, Anthony Davis, 38. That's what we pasted FanDuel in incorrectly.
It's very surprising to me. I just looked this up. The Magic with Isaac off the court have the same exact defensive rating with him on the court. Tell me that's not surprising to you.
Trying to think about it here. It's surprising because I think that he's a good defensive player. I'm a little less surprised just because of who their coach is. Jonathan Isaac has very solid raw defensive abilities, but Clifford has naturally coached up defenses, and I think a lot of that is just having a very specific scheme. This is a guy that coached up this is a defense anchored by Nikola Vucevic, who has never been known as a wildly effective defensive player.
You got Markelle Fultz out there too.
So, very good defensive player.
He's all right.
So, I'm surprised it's not bigger. But this is one of the few coaches where it doesn't surprise me. I think that's just a function of his actual defensive scheme. I think you would see a much bigger swing if you let Isaac loose on a different team.
Either way. Yeah, either way, I thought they'd be a little bit worse.
Yeah, I would expect more extremes there for sure. Terrence Ross is 4K on DraftKings again. 0 for 2 on these little Terrence Ross half chalk days, but he's my favorite Magic guy once again. I just don't know how much Orlando I want to get to. This is a terrible DFS game.
It's horrible.
Very low implied total. The lowest on the slate by a mile. Magic have the lowest number. The Heat are second lowest. Like these are the two least expected teams from a fantasy perspective today. So Terrence Ross, I think, is just underpriced given the amount of minutes I expect him to play. If I get to a little bit of Vooch or Fournier, I'm cool with it, but this is not a volume game for me.
It's not, but let's talk about the other side for a second. And I think Terrence Ross is fine. Like on DraftKings, Adebayo is down to 7,600. They are playing a second of a back-to-back, but still, he's playing 35 plus minutes every day in regulation. Right now, the line on this game is only 2 points. But I think it gets a little bit more interesting when you take someone like Derek Jones Jr. He has not been the greatest per minute player this year. Completely accept that. But he's also playing some really big minutes. I mean, just look at the last, say, 10 games he's played. He's played 27 plus minutes in all but one of them, 28 plus minutes in 8 of 10. He's played a 31, 37. I believe that was OT. It was 32, 31. Like he could give you 31 minutes, 32 minutes in regulation here at sub 4K. So while the matchup isn't great, there isn't a ton of like bottom barrel value right now. And I think Derek Jones is fine, just given the fact that you're pretty much locking him in for 27 to 30 minutes.
I love him. 3,900, just way too cheap. There's a lot of ownership coming in here. Jimmy Butler, 20%. Bam Adebayo, 20%. Kendrick Nunn is the chalk play on DraftKings right now. 26% owned at just 4,400. Tyler Hero is at 22%, 3,700. A lot of people already going to Miami, and I think it makes perfect sense. Those 6 guys, I'm a little bit less enamored with Duncan Robinson, but Butler, Adebayo, Dragic, Nunn, Jones, and Hero. I don't see a scenario where I don't have all of these guys. I'm probably most interested in Goran Dragic just because he's only 5% owned relative to the rest of them.
Yeah. I mean, the salaries here are all don't make sense. Kendrick Nunn, $4,400. Right now, he got him projected for the highest ownership on DraftKings. He played 38 minutes yesterday in regulation, 34 the game before that. Really interesting stuff. And like Duncan Robinson's another one. He only played 19 minutes yesterday. You saw Kendrick Nunn play 38. Tyler Hero played 33. So I'm not necessarily sure how this works out as far as the minutes go from day to day. I think I mentioned to Adam yesterday on the deeper dive that you're going to see a decent amount of hot hand played here in the backcourt or just some matchups and how they're playing. But I think the Kendrick Nunn price tag is too cheap. He's come down quite a bit. Yeah. And now it's at a point where with Goran Dragic back, Kendrick Nunn is priced where you can say, all right, well, Dragic is back, but his price is cheap enough for it to make sense.
I have 6 guys from the Heat ranked in my top 20 on DraftKings.
That's a lot.
It's quite a lot. Yeah. Goran Dragic is 20th. Hero, Jones, and Bam are all in the top 10. And I have a lot of the Heat, which is a terrible feeling in this particular game.
It is. I mean, I'll say this much. The value is great, but I don't want to have I don't want too many of these guys in the same lineup. Right now you've got a 207 total. It's the lowest on the slate. And by the way, not only is it the lowest on the slate, get this. The next closest total, 223.
Yeah. Miles, dude. The gap here is massive.
Yeah. It's a huge gap. Someone just told me to pay attention because I tweeted something to Adam. Pay attention. Josh is talking to you.
Guys, have you
Yeah.
ever seen this show before?
Yeah, I don't know what they've watched in previous episodes.
Yeah.
16-point difference between that game and Atlanta and Boston. It just so happens that some of the best value comes from there. It's unfortunate too because like yesterday, I had talked a lot about how Minnesota is much better defensively with Towns off the floor, and was like highly concerned about that. But you still had to have interest in that game on DraftKings because there wasn't really significant value in many other spots. Now, the guys that won tournaments, got away from that game, and good for them. And I see, I like I said, I kind of expected this to be a disappointing game. But in the same vein, like this game here on DraftKings specifically, because the salaries are so low, even though it's not expected to be a great fantasy game, they're cheap enough where you can say, well, I don't need them to have career performances. I don't need this game to go over 230 points for them to get where I need them to go.
Oh God, it feels like it's going to be gross, but I just cannot get away from these guys.
I know. I know.
Too good of a spot. And now Orlando missing their best perimeter defender.
Yeah.
You have to
The
figure
only thing
Isaac was going to have a steady diet of Jimmy Butler.
the only thing I can say too is that the Orlando Magic started off playing stellar defense this season. The last month they're like middle of the road, so they've come back down to earth a little bit, but they play at a slow pace, 98.9 possessions per 48, and the Heat over the last month are playing at the third slowest pace. So it is on paper a very ugly game.
It really is. Pure gross. Pure gross.
But I think we'd agree that Miami's a lot more inviting than Orlando.
Absolutely. And so much of that is just simply everybody's priced down.
Yeah, but with Isaac out though, like Gordon gets all the minutes at the 4 if he comes back and plays.
Yeah.
He's $5,700 on DraftKings.
By the way, he
So
is much better playing the 4 than he is playing the 3. So let's keep
it's not
that
even
in mind,
close. It's not even close. Yeah. I mean, especially with his style of play where he can crash the boards, that type of stuff is definitely going to benefit him playing closer to the glass. I like Aaron Gordon at 5,700 if he plays and isn't limited.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with this Achilles thing, and it's possible that he comes back and doesn't get the same amount of run. But in the event that he plays and isn't limited, I definitely would have interest. If we know Isaac is out.
Right.
We know Al-Farouq Aminu is also out, which is actually pretty significant because if he was healthy, he'd get you 30 plus minutes.
Yep.
But if Gordon joins Isaac on the sidelines, I mean, what? Emil Jefferson plays 15 minutes.
I think he plays more than that.
Maybe 20 minutes. I don't see him getting a whole lot more than 20 minutes, but it's possible.
And Wes Iwundu at 3,100 on DraftKings becomes someone you actually have to pay attention to.
Unfortunately, yeah. And then you have to pay attention to Ross because he probably plays 30 minutes off the bench.
And then Kem Birch is going to play a bunch at the 4 at 3,900.
That's what I would expect. Yeah, that is what I would think. He played 26 minutes last game. Kem Birch did
26.5.
So almost 27 minutes for Kem Birch.
Yeah. I try not to read too much into rotations in games where guys get hurt like that. Like they're not ready for it, so they're just kind of plug the hole. I'm not so sure that Kem Birch would play that many minutes at the 4 if they were planning for it.
No, it's possible, but I would say it's worth looking at the second half and see like the starter was I believe Jefferson, right? Yeah, Jefferson started but only played a few minutes. The bench wasn't really emptied until there were like 2 or 3 minutes left in that game. I mean, Fournier, Fultz, Vooch, all of them played through up until like 2.5 minutes left. Kem Birch came in with 3 minutes left in the third and played all the way to the end of the game. So would he have closed in a close game? I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. But if you projected him for 25 minutes, if Gordon and Isaac were out, I think that's pretty acceptable.
I agree. Want to move to the opposite game of this?
Let's do it.
Wizards and Blazers. 115 implied total for Washington, 121 for the Blazers. That is the highest implied total of the slate. Everybody that's been out is still out for Washington. I've got Bradley Beal in, and there's not nearly as much ownership coming to this game as I would have expected. Highest owned person is Isaiah Thomas on FanDuel at 17%, which is kind of interesting considering the way that his minutes have been going.
Yeah, I mean, what a colossal disappointment he was the other day, right?
Yeah.
20 minutes, Jordan McRae, or 19 minutes. Jordan McRae ended up having a monster game.
Ish Smith is getting the minutes lately.
Sorry?
Ish Smith is getting the minutes lately.
I know. It's hard. Usually when you have such a limited roster, it should be pretty easy to predict what Scott Brooks is going to do. But that hasn't been the case at all. I think the Portland side is far more appealing, right? But
I don't know about that.
I'll get. Well, have you looked at DraftKings pricing outside of Whiteside? There are a couple that are decent. Now they're all a little bit overpriced.
Yeah,
which is why I would agree that it's not perfect at all. And then Whiteside said, well, we'll get there in a minute. But with Washington, you said this is the opposite of Orlando, Miami. I'm assuming you're talking about just from a pace up standpoint and the total. Yeah, 236. Whereas the Heat Magic game has the lowest total by 16 points. This has the highest total by 12,
right? Which
is pretty incredible. Portland has a 121 implied total. That is the highest on this slate by quite a bit. It's tough here, but I'd say this much. If Bradley Beal plays, $8,500 on DraftKings, and this is one of the reasons guys like Jason Tatum just don't appeal to me as much. Different positions, sure, but on DraftKings you can play whoever you want at any position. $8,500 Bradley Beal, assuming he's not limited and this game stays competitive, is one of the better plays on the slate.
I agree. Hard to argue there. And I only gave him 34 minutes. That number could be way higher if this game is competitive.
I mean, even if you give him 36.
Yeah. I'm going to get this dude one way or the other. We have him in single digits in ownership. I'm going to be trying to get to Jordan McRae. I'm going to be trying to get to Troy Brown. I see no reason not to try to roster Jan Mahinmi. Ish Smith, last two games, played 28.5 minutes on January 1st. Played 30.6 on Monday, December 30th. I gave him 26 minutes. So I don't think that that's an outlandish jump, but pretty clearly he's getting a little bit of extra run. He's 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DK. It's like a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. He's actually my favorite guy on the Wizards relative to salary right now.
All right. It's tough though. Like, take the Knicks game, for example, right? He played 21 minutes. That was the game that Isaiah Thomas played 29 minutes.
Right.
Last game, Isaiah Thomas plays 19 minutes. Ish Smith plays 28. So it's hard to make sense of it. But I think what you're saying, and I would agree with this, is if you're determining like, do I play Ish Smith or Isaiah Thomas? I'm definitely 100% taking the discount on Ish Smith, who's playing more minutes right now than Isaiah Thomas.
Right. Yeah. Like and it's $100 difference on FanDuel. It's $1,100 on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I don't think it's particularly close. No. Even on FanDuel, though, like if Isaiah Thomas is getting any sort of love, I don't know why that would be happening.
It wouldn't make any sense at all unless he was like wildly underpriced to the point where you just have to get, like, if he was 3,800, then sure, but he'd have to be real cheap.
Yeah. I'm just going to have a lot of this Wizards game. Troy Brown, Ish Smith, both number 2 relative to salary for me on FanDuel at each of their positions. I've got 6 guys ranked on FanDuel, 6 guys ranked on DraftKings just from the Wizards themselves.
What about Jan Mahinmi?
Gotta look at him at least, right? I mean, you got to figure they want him to play 26 to 30 minutes if he can.
Like, could you get there north of 5K on DraftKings?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have him in for 27 minutes right now.
27. How about Andres Pasechniks?
3,200. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's going to play a lot of minutes without Hassan Whiteside on the ground or on the floor. Probably most of the minutes that Whiteside doesn't play will be with AP. So it's not the worst punt in the world.
I don't think it is either. I would never say I'm excited about it, but
no, not at all.
Sechnik's at basically minimum salary is like, could he play 24 minutes and give you 30 fantasy points? It's not particularly likely, but it's definitely doable.
Yep, 100%. Let's see what my odds are for him doing that. Oh god, I'm never gonna spell that right without copying it and pasting it. Fuck that. All right, so this is going to be on FanDuel, but we're talking about the same sort of scenario. This is just going to be for likelihood of hitting a particular mark. So odds of scoring 30, I have at 9%. Seems about right.
That sounds totally reasonable to me. Portland, by the way, over the last month is bottom 5 in defensive rating.
So, well, I mean, I'm not surprised. Look what they're running out there. Dame, terrible defender. CJ, never been a good defender. Carmelo Anthony, arguably the worst defender in the league. Hassan Whiteside, good at defensive stats. Never been a standout defender. Not necessarily a liability, but he's not going to save it.
No, and they actually allow for a lot of easy points in the paint. They're allowing the most second chance points in the league. They're allowing more putback points than any other team. There's a lot of spots where the Portland Trailblazers will kind of cave to opposing centers, and I think that's worth pointing out. So I have no problem with it. He's we're both saying he's not a top play here, but 45% of his shots are coming within 3 feet of the basket. 75% are coming within 10 feet. So this isn't a guy that's getting out and firing from long range. Portland's the type of team that if you can do damage in the paint, they're the team you want to play.
God, I'm going to have a lot of this game. Let's get to that Portland side. Clearly, Lillard, Whiteside, McCollum, and Melo are going to be in a lot of rosters, or at least they should be. Melo is 6,700 on DraftKings. That's a really rough price, but he's only 7% owned, and the dude's playing monster minutes. He's going to shoot, and Washington could certainly be the cure for getting slightly better looks. That's for sure. So I have no problem going to CJ, who is my number one guy here. I have no problem getting to Whiteside. 9,500 on DraftKings. Kind of a tough sell. Not outlandish. That is a big number. And then I still have a little bit of interest in Kent Bazemore if he's 3,500, although he's already chalky.
Yeah. What I don't. So there's just no way right now that I would pay more for Whiteside than Joel Embiid when Whiteside is actually projected for more ownership.
Right.
I get it. Clint Capella, solid enough defender, but Joel Embiid's a 1.6 DraftKings point per minute guy this season. They're 0-3 on this 4-game road stretch. They need a win today. They need to be competitive. If Embiid played 35 minutes in regulation, I would not be shocked. I really would not be shocked. Not projecting him for that. I am giving him 33 minutes, though. I expect Joel Embiid to be one of the higher end minutes that we've seen on the season. They absolutely need to get this win and be competitive, and he is the reason that they will do that. So, you look at like his fantasy points per game, it can be a little bit misleading. He's a phenomenal per minute guy. He's cheaper than Hassan Whiteside. Yes, Whiteside has a better matchup, but Joel Embiid is the better overall producer. I'm projecting him to play almost the same minutes today. Maybe Whiteside gets 1 or 2 more, but I can't go Whiteside over Embiid. And then Anthony Davis isn't much more expensive on the higher end. So there's just a lot here that makes Whiteside a bit prohibitive in terms of salary. I like Lillard. I'll ask you this, though. On DraftKings, James Harden's 10-9. You're not going to get a sub. Oh, changed up the background.
I did.
You're not going to get a sub 50 fantasy point game from Harden like ever, right? He's 10,900. Trae Young is 9,200, down from 2,000 from what he was a couple games ago. Lillard sandwiched in between at 9,700. The question really is, like, can you prioritize someone like Dame there when you have Harden at 10.9 and Trae Young at 9.2? Because it's easier for me
Probably
to
not.
play. You're muted.
I am muted?
Still can't hear you.
How about now?
Still can't hear you. It literally says you're muted. Your mic has
How about now?
There you go.
I didn't do that.
It said you were muted. It's all good. But I think here's what I'll say, and then I'll throw it to you. It's a lot easier for me to play a good amount of Lillard, who is also garnering no ownership, than it is for me to play Whiteside on DraftKings because of who's priced around them at their positions.
I agree with you completely. It's really difficult to play Whiteside with Embiid $100 cheaper there, which is just first and foremost easy. And if Dame is 97, and you've just mentioned this, Dame is 97, and you've got Trae Young and Russ and Bradley Beal and this sea of guards, you've got Harden above him, kind of just in no man's land at that price tag.
For sure. And Harden at 10.9, like that's still too cheap. I don't care if it's against Philly or not.
Yeah, it makes no difference to me.
You mentioned
still
McCollum
shoot, that's for sure.
Yep. You mentioned McCollum at 7,100.
That's the guy I'm getting to most of anybody from Portland.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
30. I mean, these guys are going to play 38 minutes in a competitive
Let's be clear
game.
about this too. I don't think any of us would be surprised if Whiteside or Lillard was in a tournament-winning lineup.
No, not at all.
It's just like if you're crunching lineups, I would imagine you're not going to land on a ton of Whiteside when, like we said, there's a lot of guys in that price range.
It's a cost efficiency thing.
Yeah.
Are you surprised if Hassan Whiteside goes for 55 here? Absolutely not.
Nope, not at all.
But you're also paying for it already. And on a day where you can get $7,600 Bam Adebayo, do you really want to spend $2,000 more on Whiteside? Probably not.
Exactly.
I have Bam Adebayo like 2 points behind Whiteside.
Right, at an egregiously low $7,600. But it comes down to, Bam, worse matchup, slower paced game, second of a back-to-back. That factors into people's decision-making for sure. But I guess the one thing you could say is on DraftKings right now, Lillard's at 6%, Whiteside's at 9%. And, that's at least that at least makes him a little bit more appealing. But again, this is why I say Lillard, it's a little bit more palatable to get to Lillard than Whiteside because Joel Embiid's at 7% right now.
Right. That's craziness.
Yeah, he's at 7%. Anthony Davis is at 10.3. He's at 18%, but Embiid's at 7%.
Well, we're going to talk about one Joel Embiid in a quick second, but first, I think it's perfect time for everybody to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We're going to be using some of the community features in YouTube moving forward. We posted up the graphics for the $20 for 20 days promotion and for the New Year promotion. So we will be putting some things there. You want to make sure that you're subscribed to us. Also, we've got free content today. NBA ownership free today. NFL ownership free today. And I highly recommend you check that out. Get a quick look at where everybody's going to be for this weekend's games. NHL lineup builder is also free. We've got a ton of shows today. You ready for this? Coming up immediately after this, NFL Strategy Show, Nolan and Ben starting their previews for Wild Card Weekend. We've got the Awesemo Odds betting show at noon. Nolan and Ben running it back along with Jordan Frank. 1 p.m. on the contrary, Chris Spags, Alex Baker. Lofty, do you have any idea who the host is for On the Contrary today?
I thought it was just the two of them.
I truly just don't know. So if you knew,
I might be wrong. We mixed
TBD.
We mixed a lot up with the. We mixed a ton up with the postseason content, but we got a ton of it coming up for the NFL.
Yes, we do. So that's On the contrary, then with Spags and Alex, Jake.
I'm sure there's a guest, and
Sure.
it'll be a good one. I don't remember who it is, and we don't have it listed right now.
NHL Strategy Show with Jake at 4:00. Deeper Dive, Alex Baker and Adam Scher coming up at 5:00, and then at 6 p.m. Eastern, be myself and Chris Spags closing it out and taking you up to NBA Lock at 7:00.
Beautiful, and we'll have
big day.
Deeper Dive tomorrow for this NFL wildcard weekend slate, including, I believe we're going to have, I think we're going to have a live before lock too. I think so.
You do. It's going to be you, Alex, and Ben tomorrow for the Deeper Dive NFL show, and then Chris Randone and Sal Vetri live before lock NFL edition.
Yep, absolutely. So we
got
lots
of content, lots of video content coming up, guys. Be ready for it. Houston Rockets getting ready to lose at home to my Philadelphia 76ers.
I love it.
109.75 implied total, so 4.5-point line here. We'll start with the absolutely dreadful Houston Rockets, who will have no ability to maintain a home lead. 11-1 for James Harden on FanDuel, 10-9 on DraftKings, 19-4 on Fantasy Draft, actually. Probably his best price. We've got Harden, Westbrook, Capella, and PJ Tucker all double digits in ownership right now. Not entirely sure I see it across the board, but Harden feels like kind of a no-brainer at the top. Easy guy to pay up for. He is my highest projected player. That should be of no surprise. But I think I prefer Clint Capella. 7,600 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DraftKings. Clint Capella is way too cheap. That's just another reason why you don't need to be rostering Hassan Whiteside today.
Yep, he's just another. He's another example of somebody that shouldn't be that cheap.
Yeah,
and he's not, dude. There are still more to come that we will get to that are underpriced, or I should say mispriced on DraftKings. This is not a favorable spot for Clint Capella whatsoever. No. But one thing that actually does stand out, and this is where play type data comes in handy, because it can tell a story that you can't just get from basic stats. The Philadelphia 76ers this season in pick and roll situations have not been good. Now, you could argue that they're not allowing a lot of points, and so if you look at defensively, the numbers actually show that they've been better than you would expect. And that actually surprises me, Josh, because if you watch them, it's looked like a struggle. So I'm honest, this is shocking to me. I'm completely off. They've actually been really good at defending the pick and roll. That doesn't I don't know. It makes sense based on personnel. Sure. You're laughing because I'm just railing on him and I end up being wrong.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. It couldn't have gotten any better from me. I don't even have to
I know what I need
participate.
To do. I know what I need to do. I need to check how they are in the pick and roll on the road.
There you go.
That's what I need to do. Yeah, no, dead wrong. I know they can't run the pick and roll because Ben won't shoot. Let's talk about that. No,
haven't done that yet.
Yeah, no, look, just run there. Plus, sometimes I just misremember stuff and look dumb. But that's kind of important because Clint Capella is not the type of guy that's ever going to create his own shot.
No, he is
and,
not.
Yeah, just like ever. He is going to get production on alley-oops. He's going to get production as the roll man in the pick and roll. And that's pretty much it out of Clint Capella. So I still think he's too cheap. I would still expect him to get considerable playing time here. And here's the biggest factor of all of this, right? Ignore my missed statistics from a moment ago.
I've been ignoring you since 9:30.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I love doing shows with you. Who else? What are you going to play? PJ Tucker at the 5?
Not against Joel Embiid.
That's what I'm saying. And when Embiid's not in there, Al Horford is still a very capable center. So it seems unlikely that Mike D'Antoni is going to go very small in this game.
No, not so much. Yeah, I'm really digging Capella. I don't mind PJ Tucker because this is the type of game he's going to be out there for. Greatly prefer Harden to Westbrook, though.
Oh, yeah. there's not enough of a price gap
No.
for me to have like way more interest in Westbrook. Plus, I think this is one of those games that Westbrook could struggle. I know he's had solid games against this team before, but if you're talking about Westbrook's ability to or not to get to the rim, it's definitely going to be obstructed in a spot like this.
Well, let's talk about your Philly guys now, or my Philly guys. A lot of
Go
ownership coming in here. Tobias Harris on FanDuel, 33%. Al Horford, 32%.
Yeah,
Tobias Harris in the 20s on DraftKings. Ben Simmons in the teens. Josh Richardson in the teens. The lowest owned guy on all of this is Joel Embiid. 9,200 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings. He's my favorite Sixer.
How does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
I don't care what Al Horford's price tag is. Like, what are you hoping from him? 30 points? I mean, yeah, he's cheap. I get it. But he's going to play half of his minutes with Joel Embiid, which really hurts him. So he basically needs to do everything with Embiid off the floor. And I think Embiid plays more minutes than normal today. Again, for previously stated reasons.
I only gave him 32 and I still love him. He's still my number one center on FanDuel.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, sure. The price on Joel Embiid is nonsensical.
Yeah.
Al Horford, to even the Tobias Harris. So here's what I do understand. You're going to need to get up a good amount of 3-point shooting, assuming the Rockets are knocking down some of these shots, right? Like there's definitely going to be a back and forth game with a ton of 3-point attempts. That generally happens when you play the Rockets. What's kind of interesting though to me is no team, and this is by a wide margin, is preventing 3-point attempts like the Sixers. They're allowing 27.5 3-pointers per game. 30.9 is the Pistons. That's the second fewest. So they by far allowing the fewest 3-point attempts per game. They're allowing, I think, the 12th lowest 3-point percentage. So it's more so disallowing them from actually taking them than it is making them, where they're pretty much in the middle of the league. So it will be interesting to see how this develops. On the other side of this, Houston's allowing the 4th most 3-point attempts per game. Kind of an interesting dynamic here.
Go Sixers. Now,
yeah. I mean, look, Houston leads the league in 3-point attempts, 45 per game. Sixers lead the league in preventing 3-point attempts at 27 per game.
Something's going to break there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I am going to just have a ton of Joel Embiid, particularly on FanDuel, 9,200. If Hassan Whiteside is going to be 3 times as owned and more expensive, this one's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer.
It is crazy, isn't it?
I probably have Horford too high as of right now, but I'm a little interested at 5,600 on FanDuel. But if Horford and Harris are already in the 30s in ownership, I think I probably have to just go a different direction.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, Houston's allowing the 2nd highest field goal percentage at the rim this year, so that favors Embiid.
Go Joe.
I don't know where I'm at on Tobias though. Like, it seems a little strange to me.
It's getting a lot of ownership, man. I'm not entirely sure that I see it. Viable? Yeah, for sure. I'm clearly going to have him, but
at that ownership though,
the 2nd highest owned player on FanDuel right now, 3rd on DraftKings. I'm going to pass on that massive ownership.
There's a lot of high scoring games too. It's not like this is the only game where you'd expect to see a lot of points.
Right. We're going to talk about 2 of them right now, if you're interested.
I'm always interested.
Phoenix Suns, New York Knicks. Suns are 6.5-point favorites at home against the Knicks. I don't have much to like from Phoenix. I'm going to rotate through Booker, Rubio, Ayton, and Oubre. All of these guys are in like the teens in ownership. I'd say that I like Booker the most, but they're all kind of similar. I like DeAndre Ayton the least of anybody here, but I would have expected to get a little bit more Phoenix given their implied total and the matchup. But for right now, Phoenix feels like filler. What do you want to do with the Suns?
I think Ayton is a bit underpriced on DraftKings at 7,300. But so is everyone.
Yeah.
And again, that's what makes it a lot more difficult to get there. But he has been productive in the games that he's played this season. He's only played 4 games, but he's well above a fantasy point per minute. I'd expect that to continue today against the Knicks. But for me, most of these guys are just like minutes plays. Kelly Oubre is a minutes guy where even if this game were to get out of hand, he's still going to play 32 minutes. And it's hard to say that about guys in blowouts. Like, oh yeah, worst case scenario, he plays 32, 33 minutes against the Knicks nonetheless. So I think it's perfectly fine there. Like you said, rotating through them appears to make the most sense. I don't know if anybody really stands out, though, as like a top option here. I can tell you that Devin Booker has looked a lot better lately, and I'm encouraged by his uptick in usage and field goal attempts, also getting to the line at a higher clip. All of that makes me feel pretty decent. It's odd that his three-point shooting, he didn't attempt a single 3 in 38 minutes against Portland, only 3 against the Lakers, 0 for 4 against the Kings. But as long as you're getting shots up, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
He's a fine play. These guys are all perfectly reasonable options. I just don't know how much of all of them I'm going to get to. On the Knicks, I have a couple guys I really like.
Who are they? Hit me with it.
I think Julius Randle is a phenomenal play today.
I agree. 7,600 on FanDuel, too. I think that's even better.
Yeah,
single digits in ownership on both sites, too.
But both of these guys, you look at Randle since Fizdale left, and his per minute production has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And he's getting a ton of minutes. He is I mentioned at the end or at the beginning of the year, I should find the tweet, but it might take too long. Maybe about 3 weeks into the year, I said there are only 3 players who lead their team, or 4 players who lead their team in usage, rebound chances, potential assists, and touches per game, right? Well, 4 very important stats. Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, and Julius Randle. Randle was one of them. And we're seeing this even more so now with Mike Miller, that he can come in there and give you 30 points. He can give you 14 rebounds and 7 assists, and it's not a shock. I think Randle's well underpriced in this spot against Phoenix.
I agree. We do want to pay attention to Elfrid Payton is questionable and Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. If Payton is out, DSJ probably enters the rotation. And then Frank Ntilikina becomes someone that we want to take a closer look at. 3,900 on 30 and 39, or oh my God, 3,900 and 3,200 respectively. For right now, I'm not really all that interested in Ntilikina. Do have a bit of interest in Elfrid Payton on FanDuel, where he's just 5,800. But the guy that I probably have the most interest in, $4,800 RJ Barrett on FanDuel. I think that's just too cheap given the amount of minutes that he's going to play. He's not very good. He's been worse lately. 0.73 FanDuel points per minute over the last 30 days. But for right now, 4,800 as a shooting guard on FanDuel, I can't overlook that, especially against Phoenix. I've got him in for 30 minutes. I think that's a viable value play for today from the Knicks. But I agree with you. Julius Randle, combination of upside and price, is the best looking Knick.
So here's the one issue that I would say plays pretty heavily into Barrett for me, at least. And by the way, I agree at that price point. I don't have an issue with it. With Elfrid Payton on the floor, RJ Barrett has a 5% assist rate. Okay. 5% assist rate, 17% assist rate with Elfrid Payton off the floor, 0.91 fantasy points per minute. With Payton on the floor, his per minute production plummets to 0.79. Elfrid Payton definitely has a hand in affecting RJ Barrett's production. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We had seen Barrett getting starts at the point guard position, and then you're surrounding him with guys like Damian Dotson, right? Or whoever else was in there. Even when Frank Ntilikina was starting, Frank Ntilikina will have some games where he's a decent facilitator, but he's not like Elfrid Payton, who is a pass first, like not a defensive specialist. He's out there to make plays or to set up plays. So if Payton's out, I think it helps RJ Barrett more than most would think.
I agree. I'm hoping to see him out, given how much I like RJ
Yeah,
Barrett on FanDuel.
sure.
Close this one out. Lakers and Pelicans. Lakers are 10.5-point favorites at home against the Pels. This is obviously like a 15-person revenge narrative, given the trade from earlier in the offseason. On the Lakers side, this is a two-man show. It's Anthony Davis. It's LeBron James. AD is at 40% ownership on FanDuel. I completely agree with it, given the position and his price. They are both around 20% on DK. If I'm picking between the two, I would rather have Anthony Davis. 11.2 for LeBron is a pretty healthy price tag, even though he has been fantastic as of late. But those are really the only two guys that I'm looking for from the Lakers. What do you want to do with LA?
Revenge game.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I mentioned this on the early bird. He did take 30 shots against the Pelicans, but that was also at the Smoothie King Center. I don't count revenge games if they're not at your old stadium. I mean, doesn't make any sense.
Agreed.
He attempted 30 shots, but he also attempted 29 shots like 10 games ago against Minnesota in regulation. So, the only way that you're accounting for that, like to say it's a legit revenge game again, even though he's already played them in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Center, is to be like, all right, I'm going to project him for more field goal attempts. I don't see how that makes sense. But here's the good thing. You don't need to, because he's playing 36, 38 minutes against the New Orleans team that plays at one of the fastest paces and has one of the worst defenses in the league. You don't need to worry about whether or not he used to play on the Pelicans. It's just a really good matchup.
Yep. It really is. There's nothing better than when someone says AD's been struggling. It's LeBron's team. As if these things aren't rooted in fact. Anthony Davis over the past 30 days is 3/100ths of a point per minute behind LeBron James. What are we doing here, guys? This data exists. There aren't opinions in past performance, and their past performance is the same on a per minute basis. You want to tell me you don't think he's going to play 36 minutes? We can have that conversation. But when those guys are out there, they're doing the exact same thing on a per minute basis from a fantasy perspective.
His block rate is the second highest of his career. Almost a full block above per game above his career average. His rebound rate is down, but I don't
playing
know
a lot more
much
at the 4 because they've got two legitimate centers too.
Right. I mean, that's definitely. I don't
that's
know
also
how much
why his block rate is
up. Right. His rebound rate's down. That kind of sucks. But outside of that, second highest assist rate of his career. His usage rate is higher than it was last year and higher than it was the year prior to that. And the minutes that he's playing per game at 35.2, he's playing 2.2 more minutes than he did last season and well above his career average. So, yeah, needless to say, I'm not particularly worried about that. They have no other high usage guys on this team outside of maybe 20 minutes from Kyle Kuzma. Like, no, everything you said, I agree with.
All righty. On the Pelicans side, Derek Favors playing like 30 minutes a game right now. He's 6,200 on FanDuel and DK. That's a guy that I have some interest in. $21 on Yahoo. That's one of the better prices you'll find clear across the board today. Brandon Ingram, 8,600 on FanDuel, 7,800 on DK. Not really getting the ownership I would have expected. I'm in there. I'm in for Brandon Ingram. I'm going to roster Lonzo Ball, 5,300 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. I eagerly await our Twitter account just talking trash about him. It's going to be a whole lot of fun there, but I will be playing some Lonzo Ball. I'd like to get to Drew Holiday, but I'm just not seeing it today.
Me neither. Lonzo Ball's $5,300 on FanDuel.
That's a great price tag.
It really is. And here's why. He's going to give you some underwhelming games, but he's also playing pretty sizable minutes recently. And if you're getting 30 plus minutes every night from Lonzo, which I'm assuming Alvin Gentry is getting back to giving him that type of run.
Yeah.
He is a legit triple double threat, and that's at least worth considering. So you're going to have some ugly games from him. He's not a particularly good shooter, so that's going to hurt him at times, but he's coming off a 27, 10 and 10 game. If he followed it up with an 18, 9 and 8 game, it wouldn't be that much of a shock. I don't care that he's facing his former team outside of the fact that it's actually a really ugly matchup. That's what I care about the most here. The Lakers are 6th in defensive rating this season, and they're playing at a pace that's what I think right in the middle of the league. So that's not fun. But $5,300 on Lonzo. If he gets another 35 minutes, there's no reason you don't like him. And I like Brandon Ingram too.
Same.
We're still going to get a lot of news. Things could change. And to be transparent, I like Randall at 7,700 over Ingram at 78 on DraftKings. But until Zion comes back, you're just going to continue to get really, really solid high floor games from Brandon Ingram. He has one of the highest floors in the league this season.
He really does. 1.17 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. He's getting better. Been really nice to see. Getting himself paid next year.
That's right.
All right, sum it up, and then we'll let go and turn this over to the NFL crew. Who do you like from DraftKings today?
You can't ask me that question. I mean,
okay.
No, you can, but I'm saying there's just too many. That Harden, Joel Embiid. If Beal plays, I like Beal a lot. Julius Randle, I like quite a bit. Miami Heat because they're all wildly underpriced. Gordon Hayward, Clint Capella. The list goes on. Even like Derek Jones down there at 3,900 on Miami seems to make some sense. And Pasechniks, how about him? 3,200. We going in on that?
Probably a little bit. On FanDuel at point guard, give me Ish Smith and Kendrick Nunn. Shooting guard, give me Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum, and RJ Barrett. Small forward's going to be Carmelo Anthony and Troy Brown. A little bit of Gordon Hayward won't hurt you. Power forward, AD, Derek Favors, Jason Tatum. And then at center, Joel Embiid, Hassan Whiteside, maybe a little sprinkle of Jan Mahinmi. 10:59, like 11 o'clock on the dot. Perfect. When we're good,
that's what we do.
We're good. I'm going to get my mustache ready to stay here forever, along with the rest of my beard. Laffy, on the other hand, is going to lose it in 3 months. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, sign up at awesemo.com, sign up at Yahoo Sports, and become a baller
today.
And best of luck today. We will talk to you later.
Peace.